And good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the hearings for the VMFRP East project. Just a few preliminary matters from the committee before we get started, and thank you to the other parties. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so just in terms of the committee had a couple of questions yesterday, and I'll come to Mr. O'Farrell in a minute to check if he's got a response to those. We also have another question for the proponent that we just wanted to put on notice at the moment. So we understand from your opening submission yesterday that a CHMP has been approved for one part of the project area, and then there's one pending for the other part. Just in terms of our advice, so for the Guttram and Benwell project where there's an approved CHMP, first question is whether that includes intangible and tangible cultural heritage values. No, that's okay. And then second part of the question is if a CHMP has been approved, is it correct to assume that the Minister for Planning would only be seeking the inquiry's advice on Aboriginal cultural matters that relate to the Gunbower part of the project? It's probably similar to the sequencing and timing question we asked yesterday around offsets. Understood. Yep. Okay. Thank you. And I just also wanted to let people understand we have Pat from the Bridge newspaper here today. So just so people are aware, the hearings are recorded and public either way. So thank you. Okay. Any preliminary matters or response to our questions from yesterday for proponent?
Not at the moment, and we're preparing some materials to respond, but it's unlikely we'll be in a position to do that today. It's got a list pop up in front of me. In relation to this morning's question, but it's indicating the answer, I think, but I might just double check it before I respond to the committee.
No problem. I forgot to ask. One of the other things, sorry, not ask, just to clarify, we were also looking to invite the impact assessment unit to come on Monday, subject to availability. I haven't told Amy this yet, to respond to similar questions about how the interaction between these decisions that have been made or proposed to be made, and the interaction with this process. So we might invite them just for preliminaries on Monday morning as well.
If they were there on Monday, it might be then useful if the committees just gave us 15 minutes to talk to them, because it might be we can come to an agreed position with them to present something to you.
That's fine. But we need to confirm availability, so we might come back later in the day just to confirm the arrangements if they're available. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Did any other parties have any preliminary matters or questions before we move into submissions? Thank you. Anyone online? That was a no. Okay. Thank you. All right. We're now going to hear from Ms. Walden. Ms. Wanda Walden, and I understand that you're being supported by Uncle Ron, who we met the other day on site. So welcome back. Nice to see you again. Yeah, so we're in your hands in terms of the submission. The microphone, you have to keep it quite close to your mouth to make it work properly. But yeah, and we've also read your written submission as well. So just for context. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm joined here today with Uncle Gower, Forever Brother, traditional owner and respected elder. I submitted, I submitted, some information on the 30th of April. And so I'm here today, as a speaker, just to use my voice, but I need to refer to this paperwork so that I can remember what I want to say. So I've structured this presentation around 5 key messages. And before I begin, I just want to pay my respects to Barapa people, Barapa country, Barapa water, and sky, and our elders here who have passed, and our young leaders who are emerging. So the structure that I'm going to present is around 5 key messages: who the traditional owners are in relation to this country, why country cannot be separated into environmental and cultural categories, why traditional owners must be treated as rights holders, not stakeholders, and why direct participation and economic inclusion are required, and what specific recommendations SIAC should make. So my name's Janita Halden, that's my government name. My nickname's Wanda, so you'll hear a lot of people refer to me as Wanda. I'm CEO of Nalgara Resources Indigenous Corporation. I'm a very proud Weskalari Wiradjuri woman with Barapa kinship bloodline connection, and I live on Barapa country. I spent a lot of time with my second cousin, Uncle Ron Galway, and various other family members. So first of all, I'd just like to say good morning to the chair and Member Elliott and Member Bettis. Thank you for having me. I appear today as a flesh and blood woman with kinship connection to Barapa, country, land and waters and celestial skies through the bloodline connections and kinships. And before I begin, I already said that. I'm going to do the acknowledgement, but I already said it. So I just want to make something very clear. Also, I offer a disclaimer. It's really important that I speak that I do not represent Barapa Native Title, Barapa Native Title proposed, prescribed by the corporate or any determination, applicant committee or anything to do with that. I only speak for myself as a woman and my capacity as a CEO for Nalgara Resources Indigenous Corporation. And I'm not merely a stakeholder standing on to help and support my elders' voice. So I'm here as a representative through my kinship connection to Barapa people whose rights and responsibilities to this country predate the state of Victoria, predate federation, and continue intact today. Our rights as people are timeless, intact, and never ceded. So this presentation is not opposition to environmental restoration. It is a call for environmental restoration to occur with traditional owners, not around traditional owners, and in support of other voices, such as those who spoke in the Echuca Declaration and who sit with Melbourne. So country is family, and Uncle Ron has taught me a lot about that family kinship connection to our sacred waters and sacred sites around here. And we've had to go out on country when places have been disturbed. And one of the challenges in projects like this is that government systems tend to separate things. It's time to decolonise that way of systemic approach. The ongoing separation of ecology from culture. You might separate water from people, you separate heritage from environmental management, and traditional owners do not. We have kinship connections that span 60,000 years or more. For us, country and our waters is a living system. The rivers is not simply water, the floodplains are not simply habitat, and the forests are not simply vegetation communities. They are part of a living, sacred relationship. Uncle Ron has told me several times that our wetlands are sacred and that it's a very, very old relationship and one we as a people cherish and we love. So when the Murray floods, country breathes. When wetlands fill, cultural responsibilities are activated. When waters move, stories move and knowledge moves. species move, people move. Everything is connected. And like the way that I know this is through lived experience. So when the rain has been just right and the land is nice and holding the right amount of moisture, there's a little botanical plant that calls old man weed. And when we go out on country, the scent fills the air where we need to stop and pick it. And that's one of the stories that, I don't know if you want to share anything about old man weed.
Everywhere it used to grow, as I said on Monday, well, cattle in there, because there's so many in there, they just press it all into the ground. Let us come back just nicely as you saw on Monday.
So this is why the impacts of this project cannot be measured only through engineering diagrams and ecological models. As much as they are so very important and have been provided by experts, we thank you for this input. The committee and members must also consider cultural systems that have existed here for, I don't know, we just pick 60,000 years as a number that everyone seems to agree on, but say hundreds of thousands of years. This is one of the most important yarns I want to leave with you with today, that country is not infrastructure. Country is family, water is life, we are kin, and it's a sacred, tangible and intangible system that's been woven with knowledge, ancient connections and traditions. And we have a knowledge system sitting right next to me that has learnt stuff from his elders and family and continues to share that today. And that sits in that water space. So what is at risk? So my written submission identified concerns regarding both tangible and intangible heritage. Most people understand physical heritage, scar trees, burial sites, artefacts, middens, but some of the most significant cultural values cannot be seen. There might be songlines, there might be women's knowledge, there might be teaching places, ceremonial landscapes, burial grounds. There's relationships between water and culture and plants and medicine. There's intergenerational obligations, and not all of this unseen business is spoken out loud. It's sometimes family hold the knowledge, and it's not always publicly declared. So the challenge is that intangible heritage is often missed by environmental assessments, those desktop assessments. So if those cultural relationships are damaged, the harm is still real. So in many cases, the loss could catastrophically be permanent. So a scar tree can be measured. A destroyed cultural teaching system is much harder to measure, but it matters just as much. We have a saying, it's called as above, so below. So we're all just as important. So I like to say that about intangible and tangible. It is just as important. Why traditional owners are rights holders? So a key message in my submission was that traditional owners should not be treated simply as stakeholders. Stakeholders have interests. Right holders have legal rights, and the distinction matters. And in reference to my disclaimer, I'm not speaking for any native title, but I want to reference the High Court recognised this native title. However, the courts have recognised that cultural loss can be compensatable. The United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples recognises self-determination and free, prior and informed consent. And they are not symbolic concepts. They are legal and policy realities. Therefore, when decisions are made regarding Barapa country, traditional owners should be engaged directly and meaningfully, not as an afterthought, not after decisions have already been made, and not through assumptions that someone else can speak on our behalf. And I just want to add that within the last, week, the proponent has expanded the footprint of the project. and I'm not sure that consultation has been received. And just on a personal note, I'd like to share something personal. When I walk on country, I'm not simply looking at land, I'm walking with my ancestors. I meet my tall, wispy spirit kin in my dreams, and I'm walking with people who cared for this place before me. They show me where emus nest.
The Navy next on Monday, which is all.
And I'm thinking about the children who'll come after me. The ones our uncles tell us stories to about our clay balls and swimming holes from a long time ago. That is how many Aboriginal people experience country and culture. Every decision made today creates consequences for generations we've never met, and the generations whose lives left footprints across many landscapes here. The committee is not simply considering a project, but considering what relationship future generations will have with this country, like water. That responsibility is significant, and I'm here to support my Barapa elders, ancestors, waters, country, uphold their legal person rights. So environmental restoration must include cultural restoration. I support the intent of improving environmental outcomes, and healthy country benefits everyone. Healthy wetlands, healthy forests, healthy rivers, healthy communities. But environmental restoration cannot occur in isolation from cultural restoration. Floodplain cannot be truly healthy if traditional owners have been excluded from decisions affecting it. Likewise, cultural restoration cannot occur if country itself is degraded. The two are inseparable. Environmental restoration should therefore be viewed as an opportunity to strengthen traditional owner leadership and cultural authority. I'll give you an example. Because a certain federal determination hasn't occurred, we don't have like the designated right to be contacted when a burial site's been disturbed. Through New South Wales, Aboriginal Land Rights Act gives the local Aboriginal Land Council contact if something happens on country. But it's me and Uncle Ron and Uncle Neville that went out to a site where a tourist had brought in a machine and bulldozed a midden mound and a burial site because they wanted to level their ground and make a campsite good for them for Easter. And we have a lot of upset spirits and a lot of disturbed cultural site. It's like a cluster site. There's midden mound and burials and human remains was found. So that's the kind of stuff that we deal with. It doesn't go on record, but it's all connected and we don't have a say. So economic participation, another important issue is economic participation. Too often traditional owners are consulted but excluded from delivery. We're asked for cultural advice, we're asked to provide knowledge, but we are not always included in procurement, monitoring, management or implementation. We get the work, but we have to go through third parties. So that model must change. Decolonise that model and create a new one. If projects are occurring on traditional owner country, then traditional owners should have genuine opportunities to participate economically, not as subcontractors of last resort, not through token arrangements, but through defined work packages and direct engagement. And that builds capacity for our local people who are living on country. What good practice looks like. So from my perspective, good practice would include direct engagement with Barapa decision makers or their legal representatives. And I don't speak for either of those, but I recognise that they are there. Protection of both tangible and intangible heritage. Traditional owner-led cultural heritage management. Ongoing monitoring by traditional owners. Genuine procurement opportunities and long-term governance arrangements. These measures are practical, they are achievable, and they would significantly improve project legitimacy. For my recommendations, I respectfully ask the members of the committee to recommend explicit recognition of Barapa rights and interests, protection of tangible and intangible heritage values, direct engagement with Barapa decision-making structures, traditional owner-led cultural heritage processes, fair and equitable economic participation, and long-term traditional owner involvement in governance, monitoring and compliance. These recommendations align with both environmental objectives and cultural obligations and international standards. The question before the committee is whether restoration can be achieved while respecting the people who have cared for this country for countless generations, our traditional custodians. I believe it can, but only if traditional owners are recognised as authorities, not simply consultees, as rights holders, not stakeholders, First Peoples, and partners in decision making, not observers. Sorry for my little tear up there, but I thank the committee for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
No problem, Ms. Holden, and we appreciate it's obviously very important. So we appreciate the time spent for the hearing. And we also appreciate Uncle Ron coming out on site on Monday. That was also very helpful for the community to understand the history and, you know, the things that you pointed out that you bring to a your submission. I don't know what to do.
I don't have any. Oh, I don't have any questions. I was just wondering if you read some further information that's not in the submission, and if you were comfortable to provide that to us.
More information, sorry.
Oh, sorry, it's not working. So,
Hello?
oh, just your reading notes, your speaking notes then that you're reading from, if you're comfortable to just make a copy and provide that to us. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
I was busy writing notes, but I thought I wanted to make sure we captured them all.
I skipped a couple of things because my structure by formatting went over and some of the words blurred in my head, but the gist of it was a document. I will share it. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually going to ask the same question as Mandy. Just wanted to clarify one comment you made, and it might be partly a question for the proponent, but you just mentioned that the project footprint had changed. Just wondered if you could explain where that, what that reference was to, or if there was a particular area. Because we just had the for context, we had the presentation yesterday from the proponent, sort of running through all the project bits, but just wondered if there was a particular challenge you referred to.
I don't have the file in front of me. It was something I subscribed to alerts around environmental approval processes. And I don't recall the date. I just remember the size of it had nearly doubled. And it was in relation to this package, I believe. And if I'm wrong, I apologise. But perhaps we could ask the proponent if they are familiar with anything that I've mentioned there.
I might just check what do you know when the alert came through, just so we can get a little bit of check.
I feel like it was in the last 10 days. Because I thought it was unusual that we're having a committee hearing and then a key factor of that package changed. To me, it's dramatic.
Okay, yeah. Because we might get the proponent to just check and whether it was potentially to do with another package or something. But if you could just follow up with the client just to check what that was in case it related to this swapping further is in change for this project. Thank you.
I can make a subsequent inquiry with that client. It's a bit difficult to respond to what's being said there. If it was something about 10 days ago in an alert, perhaps if the alert's still available to you, you might be able to chase it down and we can talk later on. I might be able to respond, but it's a bit difficult for us to respond to it. Nothing's in my mind coming up about this.
Okay.
The only thing that's happening in that sort of time space, I think, is preparation documents of this hearing witness statements, those types of things. It might be something in that has been seen.
Okay.
But I confirm that the suggestion that the footprint had been doubled, that's certainly what has, there's been nothing of that nature in the last 10 days or at any time.
And if it pleases the members, I will find the alert and attach it with these speaker notes, and
That would be good. Yeah.
the work area, it was like, you know, we had been told that there was roads and cleared pad sites, and that was a, you know, one part of the package, it might have said 26 hectares, and then in the alert, it had set up to 50 hectares. So that's why I assumed it was doubled. It may only be a small proportion of the entirety of the package, but I will definitely
Yeah.
get the information to the
All right.
members.
Yeah, no, that'd be useful. You could send that at the same time as the written submission and then get the phone. When they receive that information, and we'll make sure the response gets circulated so you can also see it as well. We're not too far days. All right, no, thank you very much for your time. And again, thank you, Uncle Ron and Uncle Neville, who might have helped with the submission as well. So just passing on those thanks. So yeah, I think we might have to stand the matter down now. We've got another submitter, Mr. Colvin, presenting. I think he's going to be here at about 11:30.
So we need to
11:30.
stand down to.
So we might stand the matter down for an hour. People can, there's tea and coffee facilities and things here if people want to enjoy those. Otherwise, we'll see you in an hour. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so we're ready to do your submission now. So we've also read through a copy of your written submission as well. So we've got a copy of that in front of us at the moment as well.
Now, if I could just interrupt briefly, we had a discussion with this Parliament during the break, and it might be that we can resolve that inquiry. Address the committee, which I mentioned. So I think the notice went out about 10 days ago in relation to a decision from the Commonwealth in relation to the updated EPBC referral. And that was a decision that was made after a request made by the proponent at the start of this year. What it does do, it updates the EPBC referral, but it just took some months for the Commonwealth to make its decision on the updated referral. And there are changes to the geography and the construction footprint. Short compass, the changes explained by the addition of the access tracks and some other associated and like facilities which weren't included in the initial referral.
A variation.
Yes, so the Commonwealth has now approved that, but the point really is that the assessment that has been undertaken in the environment report and the consultation has been done on the basis of what's in the updated EPBC referral.
All right. So there's no variation compared to what we saw on site with the description of Lower Murray Water gave yesterday.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying that. And is how we, just to be clear, I think we understand those components. Okay, sorry for that interruption and now the construction noise. But you can go ahead. Thanks, Mr. Coleman.
Like I said, just got something to say.
Sorry, it's just the joy of the hybrid format. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Advisory Committee. My name's Thomas Colvin. I'm current fire navigator on Ski Properties on Ski on the Board in Drumley. Reflection, of my previous submission and talked about irrigation and the three control road going systems. Which these parks, Victoria will not allow a family to dredge the creek in the national park to enable myself and other irrigators better access to water. Then something needs to be done. However, this should not be done to the detriment of the environment. This irrigation system will place financial burden on the future farming generations. I think the planned pipeline on National Channel will be required for the future and will be vital for some irrigators now, but for myself and my uncle, Michael Williams, we can currently regularly pump water as required. Not saying we'd like to provide the pipeline in the future, I no doubt we will. However, the committee would like to request that whilst we can regularly pump water from the creek, we continue to do so until the time comes when we no longer can. And then use the pipeline provided. As the project states, all road lagoon will remain full after the pipeline is implemented with its rating. However, after the dust is settled in years past and a possible policy change might happen, this will no longer be the case. And join up on future government sustainable plans. This would have disastrous impact on the biodiversity of the creek and the well-being of people living around the water body. So I'd like to request a stronger policy including keeping this water body full on after the irrigators have left as intended by the project.
So it's just you need to give them one. I know it says one, but just doesn't want to be closer to your mouth.
So we would like to request stronger policy and wording around keeping the water body full for long after the irrigators have left as intended by the project to ensure it remains usable for wildlife and generations in the future. Finally, as I already stated, my project submission, the financial impact of acquiring delivery shares on this proposal is not acceptable. Our family farms and two of the smallest sites on Cameron's Creek, and if I could make a comfortable living on working these farms full time, I wouldn't hesitate in doing so. But sadly, this is unachievable. Now, add in the prospects of future costs of delivery shares after 30 years, it makes it very hard for the next generation. It started with a consultation process many years ago. The CMA and Parks Victoria stated we would be no worse off from the pipeline than what we currently are here. Currently, we are pumping Zone 7 water with basic low-cost fees, only requiring a small amount of diesel to start the irrigation pump. The costs of the delivery shares are alone annually to buy enough diesel to irrigate us for 6 seasons. There was this fair outcome. We're going into this project not knowing the full costs that will be passed on to the next generation and fear that we are setting them up for failure. In conclusion, we understand something needs to be done. However, we are simply asking that we are no worse off under the floodplain project than what we are here. We are hoping this floodplain restoration project can work hand in hand with farmers and not to the detriment of the environment, not only on Cameron's Creek, but right along the length of the project. Thank you.
Mr. Colvin, the other members have any questions?
So I just have one question. There's a section in this section where you talk about reduced water under the pipeline from the national channel.
Yeah.
And you talk about being limited to seasonal flows. And I just wanted to understand what was behind that. Is that because the 46 megalitres that the pump station is proposed to deliver, there'll be 20 megalitres taken for environmental purposes?
Yes.
And that then leaves the 26 for irrigation purposes.
Yeah.
Is it that amount is not sufficient for your needs?
It's sufficient for our needs individually, but if everyone starts up, that's what I'm worried about.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we didn't have any other questions, so thank you. And we've obviously got the written submission, so and the recommendations we included that. That was very helpful to have some specific changes that you're seeking. So
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
No question.
Okay, thank you. The only matter we wanted to just administrative thing to confirm, we have, we already sent an email, but we're about to send an email out to the assessment unit, inviting them to come and answer those questions we asked of the proponent, and then the assessment unit to respond on Monday for preliminary matters. So that list of questions will be tabled so everyone can have a read of what that is. And we hope that they'll be available on Monday morning. And there was no other question. I just checked from the other parties who were here. Is there any other questions we've had before we close the hearing for today? You don't have to have questions. So, yes.
We did have some questions, but we spoke with Amy before.
Oh,
One up here?
yes.
Okay. We spoke with, I spoke with Amy before we got here, and she said it would be best to put them into a submission power when we speak.
Yeah.
Next week. So,
Yeah.
so will we still get up to have those answered if we?
Yes, I'm referring more now to just logistical or administrative questions. Any other things you want to deal with as a submission or something you want us to consider, you can deal with that when you present your submission. I can't recall what day you're coming, but when you turn up next time. Yeah,
Thanks very much.
thank you. From the proponent, was there any other questions from your side? Okay, all right, we'll close the hearing for today. So next time we will be sitting down in Spring Street. So we'll resume at 10 a.m. on Monday the 29th, and understand we'll be hearing from the proponents, experts on groundwater, surface water, and bottom. Okay, thank you to the people online.